Welcome back, lovely people, to the Sisterhood in Session podcast. I've been so looking forward to chatting to this gorgeous lady. She's only just come into my life, but I feel like our paths were meant to cross, as I do with quite a lot of ladies that I meet on my travels. So, Gill Russell, you are very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. It's lovely to be here and thank you for inviting me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I love that hosting the podcast introduces me to so many different ladies, some that I know really well, known for a very long time, and some like yourself that I've only just met. So I am excited to find out more about your journey. I know a little bit about you, but not the backstory really. So I'm really excited to find out how you've ended up doing what you're doing now. But would you just introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do now, and then we'll turn back the clock and go back in time.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So I'm Gill Russell. My business is currently called the Gill Russell Consultancy, but we are just rebranding and relaunching at the moment, and it's going to be called the Gill Connection because it's much more about what I do. I like to connect people with other people that they would benefit from, whether that be personally, business, etc. And what I do is I'm a business strategist and I look after mainly business owners who have communities, and that can range from networking organisations, which is obviously a community, to charities, to sporting clubs, anything that has a community where people like to look after their members and really give them great value. And also anybody that's thinking about starting a community. I'm a people person, and there's nothing more that I like than having a chat, getting to know people, and seeing where we can help them.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've been naturally drawn to one another because obviously it's literally the definition of what I do with the day job and the Sisterhood Networking Group. We're all about connection, we're all about community. And yeah, I was really excited to be introduced to you and for us potentially to be supporting one another in the future. So yeah, that's really exciting with a rebrand and a refresh. It's always really nice, isn't it, to
It,
have a
it
fresh
is,
take on things every now.
it is, and it really is. And the lady that I'm working with, Mary Fleming, I haven't actually ever met her. Again, that was through connection. I did a networking event over in Cork and I helped them set up that, and it was absolutely fantastic. And then we just got chatting and online, and I was like, you are the lady for me. I'm very much go by my gut instinct. I know when something's right. And we get on like a house on fire. I can't wait to meet her and give her a hug. And
Oh,
she spent so much time with me getting to know me and what I'm about. And what I love is she's going to put the Jill with the letter I upside down because it's the exclamation mark. Because she said, you're always so bubbly and you've always got loads of ideas. And I was
I
like, yes, I love that. I love
love that too. What a nice idea. Oh, well,
good.
she sounds ace. Somebody else I probably need to talk to as well.
I think so.
So let's go back in time, shall we, and see how you've ended up doing what you're doing now. As I ask all my guests, where would you like to take us? Where do you want your story to start today?
I think I'm going to go back to being the youngest of two, mum and dad, over in Leighton, which was then East London, but wiggled its way into Essex.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much Essex bound there. And they were both entrepreneurs, both from very big families, never had anybody be self-employed in their life. So I grew up as a little one in with mum and dad having shop, post office, all sorts of things. So I was very much it was very different childhood to a lot of my friends. I actually knew what my mum and dad did, and back in the day, because I'm ancient, I've just passed my 65th year. So back in the day, many of my friends didn't know what my mum and dad did, or their parents did. So I grew up like that, and when I was 16, I decided I didn't want to join the family business, and I went into the bank. And I was bored, stupid, because it wasn't, I was in the office part and I needed to be with people. So I started to realize that actually, like when mum and dad had shops and being behind the counter and serving people and having a chat, that's what I loved. So I went into the family business, and we had post offices, sweet shops, sports shop. We had a sports shop, and I love sport, and I love watching sport. I'm not so good at playing it, but I love anything like that. And
Me
and
too.
when I was 18, I had my very first business, which was called the Darts International magazine. And actually, I can show you, Sarah, because I've got a copy here. And
Oh my goodness.
my grandson, who's 22, found this for me. It's the first edition, February 1979, price 30p. And I was the advertising manager. I had one member of staff, and she wrote about darts, and I got all the advertising in, and went to the tournaments over at Lakeside, and yeah, it just blossomed from that. So that was my very first business. So
How did that come about? How did you seek it out, or did it land in your lap, or
no, it sort of landed in my lap, as if my mum and dad said, "Here's the keys to the office if you want one," as an 18th birthday present. And but you've got to work. This is what could do. And again, coming back to being a business strategist, this is how my mind works. I look at a business in a slightly different way. I love looking at people's businesses because I go, maybe not just down the normal route. So with this magazine, it linked in because mum and dad had a sports shop. So we was like, okay, well, we could do the first mail order darts. So darts, shafts, flights, anything to do with that. We also then got, we could do trophies. And so we did that. And of course, mum and dad got a full-page advert as the only people in there, but they had to pay for it. and then and then dad said, "Oh, well, why don't we run some tournaments?" I mean, darts has come back in just recently. It was absolutely massive then. So it was looking at a business in a different way. How can you do many things within that business, bringing in different income streams, different opportunities? But for me, it was definitely, I need to get out of the office. I need to meet people, and doing all of that was
did you
great.
want
So
darts? I mean, was darts something that you had a bit of
no,
a no?
no, no. But it was right at the time.
Yeah.
It was right at the time. And also thinking back now, with mum and dad having news agents, we had a distribution network. I could already speak to the people that would distribute the magazine. So it was, mum and dad really taught me to look at business in a different way, not just think of it as everybody's done it. So
Mm. That's
that's
really
what I love.
interesting because starting out as a self-employed business owner in this day and age,
Mm.
there's lots of things that you can tap into. There's lots of people offering workshops and courses and masterclasses and masterminds. Obviously, rewinding the clock back then, there wouldn't have been really anything like that. So was it a case of learning on the job, obviously getting some guidance from your parents, trying to
Yeah,
figure
I
out the
mean,
best way to present things? How did you get your head around it all?
well, it was back in the day, there was no internet, so it was literally getting on the phone. And in fact, when you look through the magazine, it's quite scary because there was no GDPR in those days. There was no mobile phones. It was literally my home phone number until we got the office phone number, And I was 18, so it was, and I hadn't been taught how to sell on the phone or how to open up that conversation, but I soon learned.
Mm.
And you know, but I like talking to people, so it didn't feel strange. But now when I'm with other business owners, other entrepreneurs that are going out, I I help them navigate that because so many people are very shy and it's not a natural thing, and I understand that. And but there are techniques that you can use to overcome those nerves. And as you know, with me, Sarah, we've spoken a couple of times. There's always a story, there's always a giggle, and it can really help people get to grips with what they need to do. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're really, whatever business you set up, hopefully you're the expert in that field, but you might not be an expert in sales. And if you're a business owner, we're all in sales, whether you like it or not. You have to find clients to keep your business going.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk more about that as we get up towards what you're doing now. But let's carry on with the with your journey. So you're 18, stepping into the world of the self-employed for the first time. What happened
Yes.
next? Where did you go from there?
Um, I got married very young, and I was married at 19, and I had my first child at 20. And so life was very different, and I came out of that because back in the day it was mum stayed at home, which I was very lucky to do. So I had that. However, I had my second child when I was 22, and my dad passed away when I was 21,
Yes.
um, 21, 22. I'm getting confused now. But both the girls were born. But so that left a big hole because the businesses um, had to be looked after, things had to happen. And so my husband and I took on the trophy business. We just bought a pub, and yeah, life got very, very busy very, very quickly. And I was a young mum, and by 86, I had three children. We had a pub. He was still working, and I think that was the first time I experienced burnout. I ended up with very bad pneumonia and learnt my. I thought I'd learnt my lesson, Sarah. I thought I'd learnt my lesson. Does that ring
No,
true?
we never learn the lessons, do we? I think that when you're a passionate self-led entrepreneur, there's always something, isn't there? There's always something. Um,
There is
but
always something.
I'm sorry to hear about your dad, and I'm sorry that it got to the point where your body obviously just went, do you know what? That's enough now. We need to have a little bit of a rest. Our bodies have an amazing way, don't they,
They
of getting
do.
to slow down when it's necessary.
They
So,
do.
did you end up in hospital? How did
Yeah, I ended up in hospital, but also my husband ended up in hospital because he'd contracted Campylobacter food poisoning. So he was in isolation, and yeah, that was when I was like, this is not what I want. This is not what I want for my family. This is not what I want for the children. And
how old were your
things
girls
really,
then?
they would have been 7, 5, and Vince was 2, something like that. So very young, very
Yeah.
very very young. And it was not how I always wanted a big family. I'm very fortunate that I was able to have children, and I understand that. And I was like, this is not what I wanted. And it was sort of the speed of life. You just sort of got me, and we ended up divorced, and I then married my now husband, and I had a little bit of time looking after the children and not being self-employed, but then bringing up five. I had 5 children. And I've got 5 children. I didn't have them, like they've gone somewhere. They're still around. I had 5 children, and it was then that started to say, okay, what am I going to do? Because there was no childcare that I could possibly afford for 5 children. There was no family able to help out. So it was, okay, come on, what can you do? What can you do? And I did a bit of multi-level marketing. I went and got a job part-time as a barmaid. I did whatever I could do, and to try and bring in some money whilst my husband, who was the full time, he was the breadwinner at that time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, I'm really enjoying this.
Mm.
Ooh, you know, what can I do? And along that big journey, I ended up finding a new way in quite a strange way, Sarah. I'm a bit nervous about saying this.
Oh. I don't know what's coming, but I'm excited.
Okay, so we have the five children. They're, I need something that I can do at the weekends, okay? Because husband's working full time during the week, that's childcare.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do. So I was at home on my own, which was very dangerous because that gives me time to think and get up to mischief. So what I did was I picked the dictionary off the bookshelf and said, whatever letter it falls on, I'm going to think of three things beginning with that letter, and I'm going to do one of them by the end of this week. That's going to be my business.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so something that I would do.
I know, that's why we get on, right? This could be a dangerous relationship, Sarah. I'm just warning you. So, anyway, it fell on the letter P, and this is an absolute true story. So, the first thing that come into mind was psychic. The second thing come in was pianist, and the third thing was photographer. So,
I wondered what else you were going to say at one point when you said,
well, there was something else, but I thought with five children, that's most probably not a good
probably
route to go
not,
down.
not the route to go down potentially. Yeah.
So I went out and bought some tarot cards. I went out with my husband's credit card and bought a baby grand piano. Yeah, I know.
What?
And yes, I know. And I didn't do anything about the photography until that was on the Monday. The piano got delivered on the Thursday. I had the tarot cards, and on the Friday,
This is the best story ever.
I was dishing up dinner. And this is back in the day when we used to get the free newspapers through. And
Yeah.
as it comes through, this is true. It opened up, and I rushed to it because I thought the dog would like eat it.
Me
And as
too.
it went down, it said photographer wanted, no experience necessary, which made me laugh, right? Because how can you be a photographer, right, like that? Anyway,
And not ever have picked up a camera.
little did I know. And actually, this company is based in Essex, and they're called Braeswick Photography. And I applied for the job. They said, "Oh, there's so many people applied. You know, you most probably won't hear from us." But I did hear from them, and they trained me on film. I had a company car, and I went round to do school photography, graduation, that type of thing.
So,
But
before you carry on, let's just rewind to the no experience necessary bit.
yeah,
So,
because we
how,
were trained. We was trained. Literally, you went for training so that you could, and it was on film in those days. So you was taught how to completely set up the exact process that you needed to do, all your lighting, everything, to do that.
but surely they could have just found someone that already knew how to do all of that. I mean,
They,
I
they
love it, but it's a bit crazy.
Yeah, but it's if you think of it from their point of view, they don't want a professional photographer because they're not going to be able to secure that as money. What they want
Uh,
is they want people that are going to do what they tell them
with
to do.
natural ability, maybe natural
Yeah,
skill that they can
I was
mold
always
into what they need. Yeah, I guess it seems that like you don't often see an ad for a photographer saying no experience.
no experience necessary. But actually, when I got into it, what they wanted is somebody that could talk to the children and put the children at ease. And
Perfectly
I
suited to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and just you can remember having school photographs, and you get to a certain age, and you don't want to have your photograph done. Or if you're little ones and you've got to sit still for like 30 seconds, you've got to have that rapport. And of course, this fitted with me perfectly because it gave me access to people and to chat. However, I was taking too long to do the photographs because I was talking too much. So that didn't go down well.
Oh.
Um, so I decided quite early on, I love photography, but this is not for me. I need more rapport with my clients. So I did my City and Guilds night school, and within a year, I'd done my first wedding, and I became a wedding and portrait photographer and set up my own business.
So The obvious question to ask about this, I mean, obviously you plucked this career out of out of an encyclopedia with no real sort of ambition or passion. Did you fall in love with photography?
Yeah,
Or was
I
it just
did.
a means to an end?
It was always something that I was the photographer in the family. I have got thousands of photographs. So I always obviously liked that. I've got a really keen eye. I know what looks good. I know how and the rapport with people for weddings was just amazing. I just had the best time. And the the my first baby photo, he has just turned 22 years old. And he still calls
Oh,
me the custard cream lady because as he was a toddler coming back to me, he would get custard creams and he just remembers me as he doesn't remember my name, he just remembers me as the custard cream
that's the
lady.
green lady. Oh, I love that. This is such a great story, and it just goes to show, doesn't it, that when you're first getting started, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have it all figured out. One of my favorite sayings is do it messy, or done is
Yeah,
better than perfect. Because I think when you're first embarking on a self-employed business, we stress about the finer details. We're not quite sure about things. We tie ourselves up in knots about all sorts of stuff. And actually, you can just you literally you can do anything. That you are the definition of just pluck something out of thin air and see what happens.
think as well, Sarah, and I know you're a great advocate of this because I had two of your members on the radio show the other day and they was singing your praises about how you said to them, just say yes.
Yes.
Just say yes, see where it goes. Yeah, see where it goes. And I think I loved that about me at that time. And that Jill comes and goes. And I think as we get older and stress happens, sometimes you forget the real you. And that talking about it to you now is filling me with joy. And because that is actually the real me. That is the Jill. I say where there's a Jill, there's a way. And
Oh, I love that.
because I it's not always easy, but you can try and do what you want to achieve. And if you have the right people around you and the right network, yeah, I say your network is your net worth.
I love
Okay. And it's so important. And that's how I got into networking because I didn't have any clients, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'd set up and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to have to spend thousands of pounds putting a glossy advert in a magazine and hope for the best. Um, and then networking come and yeah, that's how I built my business.
What
That
kind
particular.
of what kind of networking did you
Well,
try
back in the day,
then?
the only thing that came to my doorstep was BNI, Business Network International, and it wasn't going to work for me really because who was going to look after the children? At that time, they were all early mornings,
Yeah.
uh, and I was like, but I need to make this work because they were getting older, they were teenagers, it was very expensive. And we worked it out and I started my journey with that. And I became a member over in Kent because we was living in Kent. And I became a member at the Brands Hatch chapter. And I was very lucky. They looked after me. They helped me get going. And in fact, this is where I learned another skill. It's not the people in the room, it's who they know.
Yes. Talk about this all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and it was actually the locksmith handyman in the group that got me into the hotels and the golf clubs and got me there, and I became the preferred supplier for some of those. And I couldn't get in as a photographer because they already had them and they didn't know me. But because they knew him all the time, he was going in. He was like, he'd say to the wedding organizer, "Oh, you know what? There's this met this lady called Jill. She'd love to see you. Go on, do me a favour. Just see her for half an hour."
Oh, I love that. Let's just delve into that a little bit more because, like I said, it comes up a lot. at my meetings. I try and remember to mention it every time I get together with the
Mm.
ones that I host, but also making sure that I filter that through to the ladies that work with me now as franchisees. And I think there's a lot of people that are new to networking don't sometimes don't understand how it works. Like it's not just that table that you're sat around, those people that are in front of you for those 2 hours or however long it is. As you've just rightly said, who do they know that could be instrumental in moving your business forward? It could be that they have a great client that's suitable for you, or they have they can get you a foot in the door, like it happened for you with the photography. So, yeah, there's learning how to be a great networker is really important, isn't it? I think, and
Yeah,
sometimes you don't understand it if no one's explained it to you.
yeah, and I think some people think it's you go in and you're, we try and encourage people, don't sell to the room,
Yeah,
just go in and have a conversation. Just be an don't turn into the different human being because you've gone into a networking event. And it does take time, and that time depends on what profession you're in.
yeah,
So I like to give the example of, if you come into a networking organization and you're a florist, that often is an easier piece of business to give or get in contact, because it might be a bouquet of flowers that starts somebody off. Whereas if you are a solicitor or an accountant or a wedding photographer, you're not often, you say, for example, you had 30 members in that room. Not everybody's going to know somebody that's getting married.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think it depends on, and I think the help and support networking organizations and members can give is helping other people understand what's good for their business,
yeah.
and getting to know what they do, getting to know their story. We spoke about this, Sarah, isn't it? It's the story. That's why you're getting me to tell my story, because you get to know the person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that there's a lot to learn, isn't there, when it comes to networking, how best to present yourself. And one of my favorite sayings is the magic happens after you say goodbye.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're laying those foundations during that 2 hours. And you're obviously introducing yourself, and everybody in that room will know what you do by the time that you leave. But it's when you leave that you have to put a little bit of effort in. It's not going to magically appear
No.
in front of you. There is a little bit of effort involved, not just from reaching out to those connections, those new relationships that you're going to start to forge, but also consistency when it comes to networking is something that I'm really passionate about. If you only come to a meeting once, it's unlikely that those ladies or men, depending on whether it's a mixed meeting or it's just ladies only, whether they'll remember you if you don't come back at least one other time.
Absolutely. I think consistency, and I know the other word that we both love is collaboration,
Oh,
and and really being there to help others. I think if you go in to help other people and get to know other people will get to know you. And it is consistency, it's putting in the time, and it's being genuine, being your genuine, authentic self.
yeah, giving more than you take is the way forward. Definitely be generous with your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, generous with your recommendations, assuming that obviously it's appropriate and you feel comfortable doing it. But there's loads of tips we've chucked in there. That was a cracking little bit. Let's carry on with your story. So, wedding photographer, visiting BNI, getting lots
Yeah.
of referrals. Then what happened next?
Well, the business grew, which was absolutely fantastic. We actually bought another business, which was a referral. So my husband worked in that. So everything was going absolutely tickety boo. And but the wedding format started to change, because it was no longer just weekends. They started to creep into Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
It was
Now,
cheaper to have a wedding that
yes,
wasn't at the weekend. Yeah.
absolutely. But that meant that my whole work schedule was very different. And I ended up working, working, working. And I was like, ooh, I don't, because it's as a wedding photographer, it's very emotional. I found it very emotional being with those couples, getting to know them, doing my very best, getting all of that turned around. And just about at that time, I was still within BNI because there was nothing else around. To be fair, at that time, there was very
Yeah.
not like we've got now. We've got lots and lots of choice. Um, and I started to work with the franchise owner of that, and I ended up overseeing Kent, Essex, Surrey. He also earned Malaysia, Vietnam, and I was very lucky. I got to travel the world. I got to speak on stage in lots of countries, and I met so many people from all over the world who had that real understand of connection. And I had my best friend rang me up one day. She was in Ireland in a little village, and she said to me, "This is true." She said to me, "Okay, you say you can most probably find anybody to help. Well, we're stuck in this village and I can't get a taxi." And I was like, "Right, I'll ring somebody." Yeah, we did it. I only knew one person. There wasn't even in that village. That was true. But you know when you've got that little bit of a devil in you, and you think, "I'm going to sort this out," and we did it. Anyway, so I did that, and then I was like, I'm getting to burnout. I can feel I'm getting to burnout. I was doing too much. So I came away from that. Two of my team members, one bought Surrey, one bought Kent. National Office bought Essex. And at that time, when I left, it opened up an opportunity, and I was asked to help organise and run a Commonwealth networking organisation.
Wow.
Yeah. So we was organising events in London at the embassies within the Commonwealth, but it was for smaller businesses because the Department of Trade and Industry would look after, although they said SMEs, they were the larger SMEs, let's put it like that. But for people like you and me, yeah, we don't get to do that stuff. So yeah, and great introductions were made. Um, and then fortunately, burnout did hit me.
Oh.
And that was it. One day I was walking, and the next day I had nothing from tummy down. And yeah, it was,
That must have
there was
been
a lot.
so scary to, yeah. Like you said, you knew it was, you almost knew it was coming in
And,
some respects.
right, and please don't judge me with my giggling because I know it's a serious thing, but it's just the way I cope with it.
Yeah.
I'm giggling because I knew it was coming because I couldn't wear high heels when I drove anymore. Right now, I literally, I was always in my like having my heels on, and I had to start when I was driving. I was like, "Oh, my feet feel funny. Oh, I'm going to get some flat shoes," and I had to change. And I was like, "I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on." I just had some funny feelings in my legs, but there was a lots of things that happened just in the run up to that, and very serious things in the family. My first husband had passed away. My mother-in-law had passed away. I'd been mugged, and I was working. And I think, when we say your body is trying to tell you to stop, and I think I threw myself more into work to try and not have to think about all of that.
Yeah.
And then it's an autoimmune condition called transverse myelitis. It's very rare, and it attacks the spinal cord. I've still got it, but I'm really pleased to say that I can toddle around, and I,
No more high heels, though, I'm assuming.
no more high heels. No, but Sarah, I've still got them all. My husband got
Oh,
mad.
I
They're
love
all, they're all at the
you've
top of
got
the
your
wardrobe.
collection.
And sometimes, maybe when I've had a glass of wine, I'll go, "Oh, could you go and get the pink ones? Can I just sit in the garden with them on?"
Oh, put them on. Oh my God, oh, oh,
Yeah,
that's such an incredible story. I mean, we kind of like glossed over that quite quickly, but that must have been so traumatic, not from just a physical point of view, but mentally as well. How
yeah.
how do you cope with like one day everything's fine and then the next day, hang on a minute, I can't move. I mean, how do you cope with that?
Well, with my sense of humour, and also because the children were obviously really grieving. The eldest three had lost their dad. The other two had obviously known Vince, and they'd all just lost their grandmother, and they'd seen their mum get mugged, and we'd had the funerals, and I was like, I've got to be mum, so I just tried to be as happy as I possibly could. What I didn't know is I had, no surprise, but I had severe PTSD.
Yeah.
And when I finally come out of hospital and I went into rehabilitation, which always makes me laugh, I was like, I'm just like Amy Winehouse, you know, I'm just like, just like um, when I came out, I started to realise that I couldn't speak to people. I could only speak to my immediate family, and people were reaching out, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I
Was,
just couldn't do it.
was that because you knew they were probably going to ask you questions and questions that you didn't want to answer, or?
I just lost my identity.
Oh,
I couldn't be that person that could put them in contact with people. I just felt I don't I suppose it was, yeah, it's just the trauma of it.
yeah.
And you know, my insurance didn't pay out.
Oh,
So
goodness.
I lost my, when I say I lost my business, I couldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It was still called the Gill Russel Consultancy, which I've still got, but I couldn't work. So the money wasn't coming in. So we had to sell the
Effectively
house.
over.
Yeah. And we moved down to Herne Bay. We bought uh, a little bungalow that we could afford. And I call this my healing place because I'm in Herne Bay. And just being here, and I'm looking at a beautiful garden and being in that space, to heal emotionally. And you're going to hear this voice go really croaky now
Oh,
because that's a sign of PTSD. So
yeah.
when my voice closes up when I get this, mind you, I wish I'd have known about that because NHS did a lot of tests on me which weren't nice because they thought something was wrong with my throat. We realised it was PTSD that when it happened. So
Thank you. Oh, our bodies are just amazing, aren't they?
yeah, absolutely. But going back to um, people being wonderful, we had no money, so I couldn't afford a second opinion. The hospital just said we'll see you next year, and I was in a wheelchair, and somebody or some people, let's call them mystery benefactor or benefactors, come forward with money to get me a second opinion, to pay for neurophysiotherapy, to buy me a wheelchair. They even bought me an exercise bike. And
No.
there was no way I could ever do that. And I was like, right. The only thing was, it was never to be asked who they were.
So you still
Um,
don't know to this
I
day?
still, no.
My goodness. Oh, this is such a story. Oh, wow. Oh,
So
just shows
we
how loved you
yeah.
are, were.
Well, I think that was it was like a big hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a big hug, and my mindset's very good. I think this is the other thing you get from networking is, well, you learn so much and you learn from other business owners who are therapists and what you get so much information. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And one of the things I decided to do was, because my body wasn't working, my mouth was still working, Sarah. It was still going.
I don't doubt that.
But I decided that I was going to uh, join Open University, and I was going to do a degree. And I graduated this March with a first class degree in business management. Six and a half, 7 years it took me, but yeah, I just did that.
Oh, and I guess, those very kind benefactors that gifted you all of those wonderful things, it's like your way of paying them back in some respects. Is that how you look at
Very, very much so, because doing that degree, um, obviously it was during COVID, so there was no classes, but it got me to use online. which I'd never done before. And it built my confidence. It was almost like when I got an exam back, I felt like I'd used to sit there. If I'd done a good mark, I would literally slap myself on the back because I was like, come on, you can do this. Come on, you can do this.
Yeah.
And the tutors were really great. And then it was Joanna. Joanna was the first person who've ever invited me to networking. Joanna was the person that went with me that day to the hospital. And Joanna was the first one that said to me, actually, you're being a bit mean. I need you to come and do some admin work for me. I was like, I don't want to. She was like, but I need you. And so you're the only person that could possibly do this, which was a complete white lie. And I started doing a little bit of admin work for her, and I had to speak to people that I didn't know.
Ah,
Very savvy lady, very savvy lady.
yes.
She knew me, and she knew that if we could get that one step, that say yes to one thing,
Yes. The saying
yeah,
yes to the things you don't want to say yes to. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the way she phrased it, and then I was like, I'm really loving this. I'm really loving this. And then little by little, I came back into the business world, and I'm very grateful. All the five children, they're all entrepreneurs. They're all very successful business people, and referrals started to fly.
No, this is yeah, such an incredible story. How do you look after you now? Because this is something again comes up often with my ladies when we're chatting. Self-care isn't selfish. I was off having a massage yesterday, and my husband looks at me and rolls his eyes, like, because men aren't very good at doing those kinds of things, are they? And I'm like, no, this is a priority for me every month. I need to just have that little bit of time out. Are you being good and looking after yourself now? I'm guessing that lessons have been learned, and yeah,
Yeah,
what's your go-to for self-care?
I think diary planning, um, putting. I know where my boundaries are. I know that, for example, if I go out to, I love networking. I love going and meeting people. Honestly, it fills me up. And, there's always and laughter, and having that laughter and that connection and helping people. But I know that the next day, and I know you'll agree with me, I always teach that if you've been out networking, you've been to an event, diary time the next day to do your following up. So that would be my quiet time where I can sit, most probably have my feet up, still do a little bit of work. The other thing is getting out in nature.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very much I live by the sea, but I'm really a tree hugger, and just being in nature, and definitely self care. I having lost my identity, I lost who I was. As I'm sure many people have been on steroids and that sort of treatment. You put on a lot of weight, you put on lumps and bumps in places that you didn't even know existed, and you don't look like you don't sound like you. And gradually coming out of that and thinking it's okay if I want to get my nails done. It's okay. I mean, but going back, nobody could wash my hair because I couldn't move. So now it is a treat. I found a hairdresser's that has a basin that where I can sit and the basin comes down to me rather than me going back to the basin. Yeah,
That's funky. I've not heard
yeah.
of that before.
But how clever. Yeah, how clever. So I think look at doing that, and this is a real win. I have the weekends off now. So
Yeah.
spend with time for family, time for us, time, and because I know I can start feeling the signs. If I go down that route again, my body can attack itself again.
Yeah. And you don't
And
want
and
to rewind
well,
that
it can
whiplash
be
road.
anywhere in the spine. I mean, I've met people with this that have been affected from their neck and they are paralyzed all the way down.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's a
um,
cool. tale, isn't it, for you?
Yeah,
That you're in some ways you're in control of how this plays out. You know your body, your limits, your boundaries, and you've got to
yeah,
protect those at all costs, haven't you?
yeah. But I think we all get back on the hamster wheel. And, especially if you're a bright, shiny person like me who goes, oh, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
We're
Because I
so
can't stop
similar, it's
myself.
scary.
Yeah. I have to think. In fact, it was only a few weeks ago that I said no to something, and like all the family looked at me and went, "What? You said no to that?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I know I could do it, but it's not right for me, and it's okay to say no."
Yeah, the power of the no. That was one of my words for 2025 was no.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Because I
Yeah,
am traditionally a yes person, and I'm traditionally someone that beats myself up about saying no, and think, oh, what they're going to think of me, the guilt factor. I have no problem in either saying no, like you've just said, to things that maybe I would have traditionally always said yes to, but also canceling things that I don't want to do.
yeah,
And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. If I wake up in the morning and something's scheduled and either I don't feel right or it doesn't feel aligned or whatever that reason might be, obviously I will cancel in a polite way. I won't just not turn up. Uh, but but getting comfortable with that, and I think that comes. I'm 54. I think it comes with age as well. And I genuinely believe that if I cancel on somebody, I think on the other end they're probably just as relieved as I am that I've cancelled.
yeah, yeah. I no, and I get that. I get that. So, it is about for me being particular about what I choose to do, being particular about who I choose to work with, and really making sure that that alignment with people is there. Going on that gut instinct, and just knowing that certain people are right for you in your relationship. And I think this is what's beautiful about networking at the moment is there's so much choice out there, that you can. I always say to people, please do your homework before you end up going networking. Really find out, don't, if you don't want to stand up and do a presentation, don't go to a networking group where they do that. Or if you're going to go, say to the group leader, I don't want to do that. That will be fine. You've got to find the right energy and the right, your
What
tribe.
a tribe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your tribe, which is, and I've been very fortunate to have time with yourself and time with Amy, who runs Dartford, and then I met Brenda, who's one of the members there, and then I was like, usually I have, this year's been amazing. I mean, it's been past the degree. I did a joint book called Success Secrets for Business Growth with some other entrepreneurs. That got to number one in three categories. And I've got a radio show. I mean, this was just saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And Amy and Brenda come down to the radio show last week, and they were lovely. But what got me was I'd never met Brenda. I'd not even spoken to her. And if you go back to what I say, is I go for people with, like, I get gut feeling. So I asked Amy, and I said, Amy, because one of our guests had gone poorly, and she was like, is it okay? Like, Brenda, I said, yeah, bring her down. And then actually, Brenda and I do have a connection because we've got somebody that she knows very well was was my son's best man in June. So yeah, you've always got a connection.
Always. And it's that 6 degrees of separation thing, isn't it? Yeah, chances are you're going to have mutual connections if you move within the same kind of circles anyway.
Exactly, exactly. It's just about, asking those questions and being curious.
Yeah. Curious,
Yeah,
proactive, enthusiastic, determined.
yeah. With a
Um,
smile, with a smile.
Oh yeah, always with a smile, always with a friendly way of doing things. I think that's the thing is I've been talking a lot recently about making online connections because obviously the in-person stuff, I love it. We
Mm.
get you are very similar to me. It fills me up being in a room full of like-minded ladies and I'm always buzzing for days afterwards. But obviously we live in an online world now as well where you can make great connections. That's how I met Amy Avis, who you're just talking about. I hadn't met her in person until we'd started to discuss a franchise opportunity. I messaged her off the back of an online networking meeting because I really liked her and I just wanted to get to know her. And I do that a lot. Social media puts people in front of you all the time that they think you should be friends in inverted commas with. And who are we to argue? Who knows where those connections could lead, but it's doing things in the right way.
Yes.
And that's what I try and teach my ladies is you don't want to be spamming people in their inboxes like the minute you land in there going, hey, this is me, book my course, buy my stuff. Um,
Mm.
it's building that relationship. It's getting, asking questions, being curious, and you can do it online just as well as you can do in person, I think. There's a
I,
whole
I, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's got a special place because it's very good for your time management. Yeah. It's very good for the planet because you're not driving or traveling anywhere. You're doing that. And I think a mix of it is really important, especially if you've got a business that, and many people do, that they're not dealing maybe with their local community. Maybe people can buy their products and services from elsewhere. So you've got to get used to being online and
yeah.
working with that.
Yeah, and learning how to present yourself in the right way.
Yeah,
So personal branding is something that I'm really passionate about as well. So obviously the way you present your business is really important, but also it needs to be backed up with the way you present yourself and trying to get comfortable, which a lot of ladies shy away from. And I totally get it. It's hard, putting yourself out there, talking to, to your followers or your friends on social media confidently. It takes some time to get used to that, but it reaps the rewards in the long term if people can get to know the person behind the business. Because
yeah.
as I said right at the start, people buy from people. So
They do. And if they start to get to know you, then the communication for them is a little bit easier to reach out, because they can hear or they get to know how you're speaking, the language that you use.
yeah,
And I think that's really, really important. I do agree that as women, we've still got a long way to go to get ourselves out there. And I think we all need to help and support each other
yeah,
by sharing what's happened to us, sharing our journey, sharing what went right, what went wrong,
yeah.
and easing that way through. Because there's so many. I every day I think of a new business. I still got that dictionary on the shelf, but I am not using it again because I'm quite happy where I am at the moment. I'm quite happy
Oh,
where
no
I
more
am.
flicking through and picking a letter anymore. That's it, you're done. Oh.
I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Yeah.
It's been such a treat to chat to you. We're gonna have to say goodbye. We could chat for hours. Another
Yeah.
lovely guest that I feel really aligned to, and we could just sit and natter all day. But let's finish up with my two questions. We've covered so much stuff. I'm not sure that we've got any top tips left, but we'll do that one in a minute. Before we say goodbye. Could you let us know if there's one thing you wish you'd known before you became a self-employed business owner?
Yeah. I would be more strategic. And what I mean by that is I used to set goals, yeah, which I think a lot of us do. But I've now realized a goal without a date is a dream. And I think if I'd have set my goals out and then give myself a timeline of saying I want to reach that by there, whether it be a turnover goal or whatever it is, and then work back and put it into bite-sized chunks with dates. I think I'm the sort of person that likes to achieve and go, yeah, done that, done that, done
Yeah,
that. And I
yeah,
think that would have created more momentum. So whether that be for people listening, whether you're going to try and go networking or whatever goal you set yourself, please give it a date that it needs to be done by.
yeah, I
It's a
love that.
movable date, isn't it? It's your decision. Um,
Yes. Yeah, nothing
but
is written in stone. Goalposts can be moved if
yeah,
necessary, but
yeah,
having something to strive for, having something to aim for, You're probably all self-employed business owners incredibly driven anyway, because I think you have to be. But
Mm.
having that little carrot dangling, what do you want to pay for a holiday, or do you want to invest more in your business? You need to earn a little bit more to put back into the business to then take you to the next level. Whatever it is, having something written down or wherever you want to put it, or on your fridge, whatever
Yeah.
you want to do, it
Vision
really
vision
helps.
boards. I'm a great one for vision
Oh,
boards.
me too. Me too.
And yeah, I think yeah, but give it a day. Give
Yeah,
it a
no, I
day.
love that. I love that. And can you leave us, lovely Jill, with another final top tip, a business related tip that maybe our lovely listeners could utilize in the future?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is one of my favourites. Prepare great questions.
Ooh.
Prepare great questions. I see this all the time in networking, and when people they just come out and say, "Oh, what do you do?" Okay, that's not a particularly great question. All right.
Yeah.
So it could be, how do you help your clients? Yeah. What are the pain points that you solve? Start a conversation. Now, these questions, we've got ChatGPT. Yeah. They'll spit out loads of questions. Just try, because how, or but
Oh, there's a caveat.
remember, yeah, remember, if you ask a question, often the other person will ask that question back to you. So have your answer ready. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to be like a deer in the headlights when it comes back your way.
yeah, I've done that. I can, I'm owning up. Yeah, I've been like, oh,
I
I
think
don't
we've
know.
all done that. Yeah, yeah. Asking a great question and then when it's thrown back at you going, oh, I don't actually know. So that's really good. You have your questions ready, but also have your answers prepared at the same time. Ah, thank you so much. As I said, it's been a real treat to chat to you. I'm wishing you every success with the relaunch. Can't wait, yeah, to see how that goes. Obviously, you and I are connected now forever, I'm going to say, because I just
Well,
think,
and you're coming, and you're going to be guest on the radio show in December, aren't you?
which I'm really excited about. Yeah, can't wait to come and chat to you on the show. Before we say goodbye, could you just let everybody know if they want to come and search for you online, where should they be heading?
Well, please connect with me on LinkedIn. And just to tell you that my name is spelled with a G, so Gill, Gill, and Russell, Russel, just one L.
Just
And
a single L.
just the single L. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you, and looking forward to coming to one of the Sisterhood meetings. And oh, I'm coming to Sisterhood Live. I'm really
I
excited about that.
know. Yeah. So anyone that's listening on the Thursday, the 6th of November, 2025, for those that are listening currently, yeah, we will be in London. Details are in the show notes if you want to check that out and grab your ticket. I can't wait to give you a hug in real life. Thank you, lovely lady. It's been
Thank you,
such a
Sarah.
pleasure. Wishing you all the best, and I will see you very soon.
Thank you.